You still have their names on your tongue. You acknowledge them, you let them know that they still matter. And that is what Coco Nyamili, Nyamili, Coco Nyamili, Nyamili, Coco Nyamili, Nyamili, Coco Nyamili, Nyamili, Ibole, Ibole, Ibobono, Ndamamihe, Ibole, Ibole, Ibobono, Ndamamihe, Ebulianyelu, 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 Anamabarana, Ihe Denjo, Manilezi, Konyo Teke, Anamabarano, Ihe Denjo, Manilezi, Konye Teke, Ibobun, Ondike, Umibobun, Ondike, Umibobun, Ondike, Umibobun, Ondike, Coco Nyamini, Nyamini, Coco Nyamini. Ulansogi Chukukai. Dewo no. Titoni Lady Chineke. Thank you for joining us again on the spiritual journey. What a wonderful day we're having here today in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but it is absolutely beautiful where I am. Sunny, warm, just nature reminding us that it's time to get outside of the house and go out there and play a little bit. Like to welcome Ukuna Charles. Well, Ukunu Gochukun Day, one day. Well, welcome. Good to see you today. We missed you last time. Thank you for joining us. It is good to have you here. It is good to have everybody who's walking amongst the living joining us today. Thank you. Thank you. I'm your host, Dr. Wonyo Hosimere. It is my pleasure to be back after a brief illness. It was kind of, those mischievous health bugs that thought they could hold me back. But, I showed them no with determination to keep life flowing through you and through me and all of that good stuff. The ultimate result is that I return reinvigorated. And I hope you're all invigorated. Here I am. Might I add that the team did a marvelous job last week in my absence. And they took it to the hilt. Dibia Yudi Onyoha, Dibia Chiedozie Okoro, and Ochwaja Akachia Zubike. I thank you all for holding it down so magnificently. Thank you. Let me welcome my co-host Yudi Onyoha. Dibia Yudi Onyoha. Welcome, Dibia. Welcome to the show. It is good to have you here. How are you?
I am great. Glad you're back. You look absolutely marvelous. Absolutely fantastic. And you're right. The weather here in Georgia or Atlanta, to be specific, I'm in Marietta, is just absolutely wonderful. Beautiful day out there. Every day above ground is a good day. And we thank Chineke, giving Chineke all the thanks for all the goodness on this beautiful weather.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad to be here. We have the other members of our team who are not here. They didn't contact me. So I'm imagining they're going to be here today. So we're going to graciously wait for them to join us. Are you tired? Are you fed up? Are you messed up in the mind or body? Have you given your all for nothing? Do you feel abused, abandoned, generally on the downhill side of life? Well, we have something for you. Watch ChiismLive if you are ready for a healing. If you're ready to turn within to find the daylight again. This is why we're here. If you're willing to understand that it's okay because you are okay. If you're willing and you're prepared to come with open hands, if you're willing to understand that freedom is a state of mind and Chineke is present, and accountable to you. That is what we're here to do, to welcome you back into the space where you are in command of your spiritual well-being. Many thanks to our honorable ancestor, Ahanke Oke Onyoha, for instilling the gift of purpose, for teaching clarity on purpose.
You see?
For teaching us how to make a commitment to that purpose, because all of us have a purpose in life, but we must commit to that purpose. So we are grateful to his legacy, and may his legacy continue to light the way as we all strive to move forward and toward our personal calling to hear the facts and preparation for the better good of humanity. For him to have spent all his life promoting this civilization, spiritual civilization from Africa, we can do the same, no matter what it takes. Well, we are in the month of Kamalu. We're still in the month of Kamalu, April 7th through May the 4th. It is a time to work on the straight and narrow, because it's a month of retribution for good or for bad deeds. Focus on doing the right thing. If you don't know what you're supposed to be doing this month, you better figure it out. But it must not include doing anything that Chineke will find to be disingenuous or rumple social harmony. Be supportive of our community youth. This is what is demanded and required this month. And make sure that you're a participant when you see the need for retributive justice. Put the guns down, my brothers and sisters. Too many killings. Let me just talk about what's going here in the United States. Too many killings. Put the guns down. People are now being shot for every little thing. People are shot, like a young man that was shot because he pressed the wrong doorbell. A young woman was killed, 20-year-old was killed in New York for simply making the wrong turn into a driveway. The homeowner shot him. Everybody's got a gun, even the cats and the dogs. We are all gunslingers.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense. That shows a lack of spiritual wealth, a lack of spiritual health. We need to, we say, Sankofa, go back to the source. And what is the source? Chineke. Go back to the source. Chineke is not a killer. Chineke does not have hate. Chineke does not promote all of those things. What Chineke does is expect us to do right. We are the soldiers. We are the ones that are supposed to do God's will. That's what we're here for. But if we're spending all this time taking out all the other soldiers, then there's a problem. Some young girl was shot. Some young girl was shot because of what? Because she went to the wrong car. And when she realized it wasn't her car, what did she do? She left it. And when she left it and went to her car, the person whose car she had got into came out and shot her. Now, one of the girls in the car is critically ill because of guns. Put the hate and the anger down, my people. There is retributive justice. This is the month of Kamalu. You do your thoughts on what I just shared.
I can't really put it into words. You think that's bad? This little 6-year-old girl, her ball rolled down the driveway to the neighbor's yard across the street. This little girl went to get the gun, her little ball, 6 years old, and the neighbor shot her. A black neighbor, 24 years old, I think, and shot the girl's dad and disappeared. They're still looking for this dude. Till now, they still haven't found it.
So he's gonna do it again.
He's gonna do it. Just like you said, this lack of spirituality. Let's not talk about religion, but the idea of being a spiritual human being, right? The idea of live and let live, tolerance, diversity, understanding that we all have a purpose in this world, appreciation of life as opposed to minimizing it. Yes. The competition between spirituality, capitalism, and racism. This is what we're dealing with in the world. Let me say it again.
Yes.
Spirituality versus capitalism versus racism. This is what is happening in the world today. And the bad news is nobody seems equipped to handle what's coming.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
Nobody is.
Yes.
Christianity is not, Islam, Buddhism. Nobody really is equipped for it, because those people that understand spirituality, blah, 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 are just focused on let's love one another. The kumbaya type. It's not happening. There's no separation between the state and religion. You know, in American politics, they say, you know, separation between church and state. That stuff doesn't exist. It doesn't exist here. It doesn't exist in Africa. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. There is no separation, and there has never been any separation between church and state. The only difference is emphasizing that the state should push spirituality, not religion.
Yes.
Because spirituality is part of human conduct. Spirituality is the legal system.
Yes.
Think about what I'm saying. Spirituality is about the legal. You need to transfer spirituality into politics, so that they can develop rules, regulations, and laws that is so stringent that you get choked out if you break that stuff. All this thing about you're a psychiatrist or psychologist, so maybe you understand this more than I do. But this idea that you do something gruesome and we got to go back and start thinking about if your daddy hugged and kissed you when you were a kid, and you just bring up all this stuff.
You're teaching people to take responsibility for
Yeah,
their actions.
you have a society.
Happening.
Exactly. Nobody is taking action. There's always an excuse for behavior. There's just nothing like bad behavior. Oh, there's bad behavior? Well, let's see. Did your mama hug you when you were a child? Did you eat a hamburger instead of a cheeseburger? I mean, what is it? So in the
what we should be teaching,
huh?
What we should be teaching is that
an eye for an eye. That's what we should be teaching.
That we should let people know. Exactly. You do good, goodness follows you. You do bad things follow you. Let me welcome you. Thank you. Let me welcome Dibias. I mean, Simona, how are you?
Very good.
How you doing?
Pleasure to be here today and be up listening and getting the message from you, My Excellency, and also Dibias, Uncle UD, and my spiritual teachers. And I'm just honored to be in your presence today. You guys look so wonderful with your white and gold today. And it's just a pleasure to be here. Every Sunday is a pleasure to be here. And what we're talking about the spirit and getting a better understanding and offering that to the masses of people, which is so important. And again, I forgot. Thank Chineke and also the ancestors. I can't forget that.
And so it is. Yes, indeed. Put the guns down, bring down the temperature, admit to your errors, and believe it or not, you must atone for your activities. Nobody died to save you. So sooner or later, you will pay the price for all the evil you do in this world. When you kill somebody and the courts let you go, well, Chineke hasn't forgotten. So retribution will still follow you. I don't care if the judge said, okay, go, you're free. You're not free. You are never free as far as African spirituality is concerned. You're never free for willfully hurting somebody else. You may not get your retribution immediately. You may not get it at that moment, but believe it or not, you will get it either when you leave this earth and you try to come back and you're not able to, as far as our spirituality is concerned. Imema inatama, imenjo inatanjo. What you do, you will reap. You reap what you sow. Chineke didn't say that I am going to send somebody to die on your behalf. What Chineke said is, I gave you all these good things out here, nature, everything you need to sustain you, I've given to you. What you choose to do with it is your problem, because I've given it all to you. Now, when you do the bad things, you will pay the price. You will pay the price. Now, we have been following Eurocentrism,
Yes.
And their legal system. Pay attention, my people. That legal system is for some of us, not all of us. And that's why many people do what they do. Because they believe not just that somebody died for their sins, but believe that the justice is for them. I'm not calling any names. I'm not calling any race. You know who I'm talking about. They know themselves. Keep doing it. They say one day, one day, every day may be for the thief, but eventually the homeowner is going to come home and catch the thief. And that homeowner is Chineke. It's going to come for you, one way or the other.
Yes.
This is the month of Tamalo, the month of retributive justice. Don't get caught in it. It's a snare that you can't get out of. I don't care what you believe or what they've told you about who you are as a person, how superior you are. There is no superior being over anybody. Anything you do, you will pay the price. I don't care who you are. So today, my brothers and sisters,
he's exhausted.
It's exhausted. We are still on the spiritual journey. Ancestral spiritual healing. I don't know about you, my brothers and sisters. Some days it's so hard to get up, particularly when you watch the news. Some days it's just difficult because you can't believe what humanity is doing. You can't believe how evil we've become.
Yes.
We can't believe that we have the great Chineke in us, and yet we conduct ourselves the way we do. It's difficult. It's mind-numbing and spiritually uncomfortable sometimes for me. And that's why the ancestral spiritual healing is so important, because we are connecting. We are striving to connect to the souls of those who knew better, the souls and spirits of those who lived honorable lives, for them to become intertwined with our spirit in the middle of our challenge, in the middle of our confusion. The first day of spiritual healing, if you remember, is Ijiko, connecting. We focus on understanding who the ancestors were, speaking their language, understanding their history, connecting it back to where we are today. Who are we? Who are they? Who they were is who we are. It's like when you take a train, you come to one station and you've arrived at one station, and then the next train takes you to the next station. They brought us here to this station. Now, where are we going? Where is the next station? Can we take what we learned from them to get to the next level? You can't do that when you give it up. You can't get to the next level when you don't know what train brought you here. You don't know where the next destination is. You know where the next destination is because you looked at your ticket and it said that you stop here, then you go to the next one. Without that clarity, you can't move forward. So spiritual healing and connecting, Ijiko, connecting, understanding who our ancestors were is essential to our healing. Pay attention, get it.
Yes.
Yes.
You're nothing without them. For those people who have been convinced that there's something wrong with you because you call on the ancestors, 10,000 powerful souls walking behind you. Something is crazy about you because you believe that, but you believe in a piece of paper that tells you that you are disconnected and you have to reach for elsewhere. The power is right here. And it started with Ndichi.
Yes.
It started with our ancestors. I'm not ashamed of it. If you think I should be ashamed of that connection, what do I need you for? You don't even know who you are. So what can you bring to my table? When the community eats together, they say, this person brings a soup. This person brings fufu. This person brings salad, cake, or whatever. Everybody brings what will nourish this body. Collectively, if you bring nothing, why are you there?
Yes.
You are an empty soul. So connecting to our ancestors is so critical. It's so critical. That was day one. Ijiko, connecting. Day two, if you remember, is Igente.
Yeah.
To listen, to focus, to listen. See, when we listen to our ancestors, we're listening inwardly. When we listen inwardly, we are hearing them and we're paying them respect by listening and taking directives. You listen inwardly, you will hear. When you listen to the ground, you will hear the footsteps of the ants.
Yes.
It's a figure of speech, yes, but very meaningful. I remember when I go to schools and I tell the rowdy children, hold your right ears. Gente. They'll hold their ears, all looking at me attentively. I say, if you pay attention, you hear the footsteps of the ants. And trust me, all of them are holding their ears. And if you're not holding yours, the other child will say, hold your ears. Don't you want to hear the ants? And it is very quiet until I get through speaking. And then when I get through speaking, and one child will say, but we didn't hear any ants. I said, yes, you did. You heard me.
Exactly.
I was the ant.
Yeah.
You heard me. So when we listen inwardly, when we listen attentively, again, we hear our ancestors. Yes, we do. Those who say they don't, you don't honor. If you honor your ancestors and you believe them, you will hear them. When you say, oh, do you remember what grandpa or great grandmother said about this? And that means you're listening. It's coming back. You heard. So day one or day two, open your ears to the ancestors and you would understand the language of the spirits. Open your ears to the ancestors and you understand the language of the spirits. The important thing to know is that silence allows you the opportunity to hear things that most people don't hear or don't want to hear. I think it's more they don't want to hear. Many of us are so frightened at the possibility that the dead can speak to us. They speak to us spiritually. Everything that you are is because of them.
True.
When you remember to do something or not to do something, it's because you heard. And if you listen, you will hear it again. Don't do that. Ibuwonya, whose child are you? Who are you emulating? Don't disgrace us. And you back off. Don't think you're walking alone, because you're not. Everywhere you go, those thousands of our ancestors are walking with you. Do you understand what power that is? So listen is the next one. Then the third day is mbagara, to forgive. Focus on reconciliation. Forgive our ancestors for their imperfection, because in their imperfection, they were perfect. Forgive them for what they did. Instead, you do the right thing in honor and respect of them. Don't disparage and dishonor their memory. Their transgressions does not have to be your transgressions. Whatever those are. Bagara, forgive. But then you walk on the right path on their behalf, on your behalf, on the behalf of your family. So now that we've achieved those three aspects of ancestral healing, today is the fourth day. So for those of you, I had posted for the Dibias for you to bring your bowl and your water. Now, because we're doing, and for those of you who are wherever you are, I ask you to do the same. Bring your water and a bowl. This is one of the most important aspects of ancestral spiritual healing. This fourth day is the day of Nkazi, dedication to the creation of balance. Creation of balance within us. Most of us are distressed. And this is the day that we are going to be a little bit more conscientious Let go of depression. Let go of those things, those energies that don't do us any good. The creation of balance within our being, a promise to make time for ourselves, spending time and energy, addressing all those areas and aspects of living or being. Today is focused on spiritual healing, and we do so through libations. This is the day that if you don't know how to pour libations, you learn how to pour libations. Remember, there's a difference. There's diversity of thought. There's a diverse way to pour libations. The important thing is that you are connecting through water, through oil, through whatever means, through some kind of liquid. You are connecting with the ancestors. It's preferable that you do it outside with no shoes on your feet, with your feet firmly on the ground, firmly on Mother Earth. But because we're doing it in a
controlled environment,
virtual environment, we're going to do it indoors. But take your shoes off, free your toes. That's very important. Let your feet still be solid on the ground. The purpose of this exercise is to remove the accumulation and negative and destructive energies that come through our space. Believe it or not, we've got all of that around us. Sometimes it impacts us. It's just like biting us here and there and there, and it impacts the way we act. You notice that when, and this is a cultural thing that people almost all over the world are aware of, is that when it rains, you know, most of you are familiar with the lightning conductor. When it rains, you know, that lightning passes through your house and into the ground. So that's why when you're on the house, you don't get shocked or anything like that, because it is pulled down into Mother Earth. However, some of that energy is still in your home. So you got to get rid of that energy. At the end of the day, some of us don't even understand that we got to get rid of those things that, you know, that accumulate on a daily basis. Even some of the energy left by lightning and such structures, they are in our homes. So it is imperative that we allow all those energies to be soaked back into earth when we place our bare feet on it. You know, the ancestors, the African ancestors understood, and I'm sure other ancestors, but I'm focused on African ancestors. The African ancestors understood the importance of not having shoes, to be connected to Mother Earth.
Yes.
To be connected so that it draws away all of, even as you're walking, is drawing away all those negative energies from your body. It's common knowledge with us African people. And I'm sure other people, but like I said, I'm focused with us. In the future, I would have the right camera so I can do this outside. I just couldn't do it outside. I really had wanted to have my feet on the ground. So, but you do it individually at home when you decide to do Nkazi. That do it outside. That's preferably what you should do. Okay. So when you pour libation, we're getting ready to pour libations right now. But symbolically, we're doing it, you know, on the ground, even though we're doing here, we're doing it virtually. Free your feet, I say. Free your feet. Wiggle it, let it touch the earth. I mean, maybe not the earth. Let it touch the ground. Free it. You know, technically, we're not meant for shoes. Shoes are, you know, a phenomenon that ultimately came to be because of the nature of what we have constructed, you know, for humanity, that requires that you cover your feet or you'll get cut up, the roads and all that sort of thing, or get too hot or whatever, you know. But it's not always the most therapeutic thing to do, but nonetheless, we do it. So at this moment, I ask you to free your feet. If you have it all tied up, take it off, take the shoes off. I feel pretty good. I don't have my shoes on. Okay. So let us pour libations. You what?
I said I just freed my toes. I'm seeing my toes for the first time. Yeah.
For the longest, you're now just seeing your toes. Let me welcome, before we get started. Let me welcome Dibias. Dibias, does your day work? There was. Feet on the floor. Feet on the floor. Dibia, take your shoes off. If you got it on, you don't need it on today. Take it off. Take off your shoes.
My toes,
okay,
my
that's
legs
good.
are on the floor.
All right.
Y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. So
I just finished mine. That's why I came late.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. As we pour libations today, please, if you can, Dibias, hold up your glass. If you are wherever you are outside of here, please get a glass and a bowl. If you're outside doing it, good for you. That you don't need a bowl. That you can pour it on the ground. I pour libations, and I say, and that is, may what we ask for today, may be granted 5 times over. As we pour libations today, we acknowledge first and foremost the presence of Chineke Ise. We acknowledge the presence of the honorable ancestors Ise. We pour libations and ask for our focus to order our thoughts today. May our thoughts be focused on what we want to see happen today. We say, may our minds not wander into things that are irrelevant. We say, we pour libations today, and we ask the ancestors to place in our minds those things that are a priority to them, and help us to make those priorities become our own reality for today. Somebody say, Ise. We ask our ancestors to help to order things in this life that they have given us, and without them, these things will not exist. We thank them for the good in our lives. We thank the ancestors for all the good that's yet to come, because again, they started this journey for us. Somebody say, Ise. We pour libations and ask the ancestors to remove from our past thoughts and habits and attitudes that cause us to fret and cause us to be out of alignment with Chineke's will. We ask the ancestors to help us to see things through their eyes according to Chineke's law. We ask the ancestors to remove from our path thoughts, unconscious and conscious urges that keep us in the valley of pain and cloud our minds in confusion. He said 3 times for this particular libation. We pour libations and ask the ancestors to fill our minds with their will, their way, their desire for us every day that we have breath. Pour libations and ask the ancestors to help us to see all those things from divine perspectives today. A perspective of love, a perspective of peace, a perspective of joy, We pour libations and thank the great grandmothers, We pour libations and thank the great grandfathers, We pour libations and ask Chineke to guide us to act accordingly with goodwill and longevity for our children, for nothing but good thinking, good thought, pride. Be forceful in our demand for justice for our people who are being mistreated in Africa, in America, in everywhere that they are being mistreated. We ask for Kamalo, we ask for justice, we ask for retributive justice on behalf of all those who are tortured, all those in the hands of leaders who have nothing but cruelty in their hands. Somebody say, Ise. We pour libations and ask for light and love for our children yet to be born. We pour libations to the east, the west, the north, and the south winds to carry our hopes and desires to the feet of Chineke, he said. Wherever we stand, before us, above us, behind us, below us, may all that we do be the good of humanity, be for the good of humanity, be for the good of our people. May we see the humanity of our people. May we see the good in our people. May we celebrate our people. May we see the beauty of our color. May we see the beauty in our hair. May we see everything about us as holy and incorruptible. Somebody say this today. May we have respect and honor. We pour libations to give respect and honor to our God, our Chineke. And all that Chineke has bundled for us in nature. We see the light of Chineke in our fellow human beings, he said. Today we pour libations and ask Chineke to show us how to honor the Mother Nature and the natural order of things. He said, may we be wiser today than we were yesterday, he said. May every footstep that we take move us to the direction of Chineke's righteousness, the expectations of Ndi Chia, our ancestors, with honor and dignity, and understand that right where we are, all that is good about us is there. All that is good about Chineke is there. All that is good about the ancestors is there. We are the beginning. We are not going to be the last. And we choose to continue to stay in the valley. We are climbing the mountaintop and we're asking the ancestors to reach out and pull us up. Don't leave us here. Don't leave us with those who don't respect us. Pull us up and keep up with those. Let us keep up with those who understand that we are precious beyond measure. Open our eyes, open our ears, clear the minefield of ugliness and doubt that continues to overwhelm our people of African descent. Somebody say, Ise. We pour libations and ask for release from our depression, where that exists, which is always unexpected, unexpressed anger, turned inwards. We ask for it to be removed from us. We ask Chineke to do that. We ask Ndichie to do that. As we inhale and exhale, break into song. When you are doing Nkazi, break into song, outwardly or inwardly. Let the emotions flow by any positive means necessary. Beat the drums, clap the hands. Let the universe hear your release. Feel calm of renewal and be prepared to do it all over and over again. Whatever you have in your mind, may Chineke do it for you. May the ancestors put you in their loving bosom. May nothing but goodness follow you as you exercise the spiritual healing process of Nkazi. No toto, no keri, mapale, manyase, todoro no ma. Morning, afternoon, noon, at night. May nothing but goodness follow you. He say, now, you know, I said earlier, make noise. So can we make noise? Can we make noise for the ancestors? Use whatever you can. Use your hand, clap, sing like I said. Do what you must do to let the world, the spirit, the universe know I am good, I am good, I am good. I take everything in. I am good, I'm prepared, I'm released. I am free to be. I am free to be. Everything and so he say, y'all guys here, my brothers and sisters, y'all guys here. Today is a new day. Believe it where we see it, and that's it ought to be. Woo!
Yes.
Your thoughts, my brothers. and my sister.
Well, you know what they say.
Chidozie.
There's a character in British history, Edward I. He's known as Longshank. And the guy says that the problem, he was trying to take over Scotland. So he says that the problem with Scotland is that it's full of Scottish people. So we must institute what is called prima nocte. If you can't defeat them, breed them out.
Yes.
The world is full of negativity. And as Chiists and spiritual people, it is our duty to influence the world so that we could bring down this temperature of violence that we're experiencing here in the United States, all over the world. What's going on in Sudan right now is a tragedy. And for people that don't pay attention to climate change, I think Sudan is a prime example of climate change and also what happens when you ignore your primordial core. Sudan has been immersed in civil war since 1983. As a matter of fact, before that, there was another civil war that happened before that. But from 1983 to 1985, Sudan was immersed in civil war as the global warming continued. And Sudan, that is almost a desert country, is now, believe it or not, almost a quarter of Sudan is underwater.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's been underwater for a few months now, and it's not receding. It's totally
but you have the same thing in Nigeria, 2.5 million.
Yeah.
Wiped out.
And all I'm saying to myself when I was looking at it was, this is the future of Africa. I was looking at these young kids, with no future at all. And the civil war has broken out again in Sudan. The civil war from 1983 to 2005, so many years of civil war. What was the war about?
Yes.
It was the war. Yes. The war was about the Islamization of Sudan. They wanted to institute, because Sudan is a country of two spiritual school of thoughts: Christianism in the south and Islam in the north. The Muslims wanted to Islamize and institute Sharia law all over Sudan. The Christians in the south said no, and they went to war. And they've been fighting each other. Then they had a respite in 2005. Now we're back to the same thing, understanding that Muhammad or Jesus are not from Sudan, never did anything for Sudan, didn't fight for any Sudanese. Sudan's culture is Kemetic in nature, particularly in the northern part. It's Kemetic type stuff. It's cultural, it's African stuff. In the south, it's African. It's Africa. Culturally, their primordial core is African in nature. Nobody propounds that. Nobody.
No.
Instead, we're killing each other based on somebody else's doctrine. We've turned our back on our ancestors. Nubia is part of Egyptian history. As a matter of fact, Egypt was influenced by Nubian culture. It is this same Nubia in pagan mythology where when Zeus had a problem in Mount Olympus and needed wisdom, he came all the way down to Nubia to dine with the Ethiops. Zeus, the pagan god, got wisdom from Africans. This is the kind of history that we're supposed to, ancestral footprint that we're supposed to embrace for a better tomorrow. But now, Sudan is fighting themselves, civil war, somebody else's doctrine, has nothing to do with you. I never made any preparation for what is happening to them with the flood. Nothing was ever done to mitigate global warming in Sudan. There are no institutions, there are no businesses, there's no government intervention. There was nothing that was ever put together just in case you end up with the kind of situation that you have in Sudan. So if everywhere is flooded and there are bullets and guns flying everywhere, Where are the civilians supposed to run to? What is Africa becoming? These are some of the things that, thank God for
nowhere.
the you just poured now. But these are the things that keep me up at night. What have we really done to preserve the next generation, to make sure that the future of Africa is sound? We have really done nothing. All we've done is embrace Western culture, capitalism. Greed becomes the norm. Nobody cares about the next generation. Not in Nigeria, nowhere in Africa do we sit down.
Oh, wait a minute. It gets better. It's better.
Yeah.
Yudi.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to more conversation, what you're talking about, because there's something I'm going to play, and that's going to let you speak more exactly what you're saying. But let me give Dr. Monet an opportunity to say a statement about this, and then I'll play that video. And when I play this video, you will see where Africa is going, and it's depressing. It's depressing.
Very.
Dr. Monet, your thoughts?
My thoughts is, and it came to me a long time ago, that the problem is that we're not honoring our mother, which is the great mother, Earth. And we have gone away from, as a people, our people are dying for lack of respect of both our Chineke, and also lack of respect for our ancestors and what we just did, honoring our ancestors, honoring the land, honoring and giving thanks to what Chineke has brought forth for us to sustain our life here. We have totally disrespected the land. And when we disrespect the land, what happens is we have problems on the land. That's when you have wars. That's when you have all the chaos. When you're not giving honor to your ancestors will get your attention. And so, all of this, justice has to come. One thing that Spirit told me, justice has to come before forgiveness comes. Justice has to come. And especially us as African people, we must give honor and make a commitment, not just honor. We have to make a commitment to our ancestors that we will gain justice for the things that they have gone through on this land. But what are we doing? We're giving no respect and honor. We have forgotten about our ancestors. We have forgot about the land and how to honor the land. We're not even eating from the fruits of the land in which Chineke has given us, the food in which Chineke has given us. And we wonder why we're having health issues. We're wondering why we're having disease and distress. We've taken farmed the land when they said the so-called fighting hunger back in the day. I got a full vision on that, where the minerals has been taken out of the land, which is causing a whole lot of issues, a whole lot of problems that we're having here with our physiology, with our health, because we have no minerals in the soil anymore, because you have to let the land rest. You cannot continue to farm on that same land over and over and over and over again. It's just the law of nature.
Yes. Thank you. Dr. Dibias, well, you want to add to the libations or whatever comments you want to make about?
We can't hear him.
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I didn't hear you quite right.
Oh, you didn't hear what? The libations? Or what I asked you to do now?
Okay, the libation?
Just to comment on the libations or whatever comment you want to make before we watch a video.
Okay. Well, libation is, for me, libation as Dibia is very important. It is one way by which we communicate with our ancestors. And we know that for us, our ancestors, we see them in nature. And so when we pour libation, we touch base with the 4 basic elements. And of course, for us, heaven is here on earth. So when the ancestral spirit, they are here with us. And like we say, the masquerades are spirits of the ancestors, and they come from the ant holes, meaning the ancestors are beneath the ground. Because if you see the Igbo cosmology of cosmology, you see where the ancestors are. They are just there beneath the ground. And so when we pour libation, that's why we touch our, we have a touch with the earth. The earth, it includes our room, anywhere we are. If we're in our room, in our abode, we just make sure our feet touch, gets in touch with earth. It could be tiles, wood tiles, clay tiles, rocks. They're all from nature. All right. So we touch our feet on the ground to communicate with the ancestors. Then we call on the ancestors. Then we use elements like water. Why we use water is that we know that water is a primordial element that is like a congealed spirit. We don't use water, we use gene.
Yeah.
You don't get a local gene, you use your own gene. Because it is said, whatever you eat, it's what you give to your chi. So whatever you agree that you want to do libation with, you do libation with that. But the important thing is that we want to communicate with the ancestors, have a touch with them. They are not departed. So for me not to talk too long, I think if we want to know the importance of the ancestors, we should go and get Things Fall Apart and read it when Okonkwo was in exile to Mbanta, and his son Nwonye converted to Christianity. And so Okonkwo sat before the fire, and he was in a trance. He saw he and his ancestors coming back to communicate with people on earth, and there was nobody to communicate with. So it's like Christianity and foreign religion has come to sever that cord, that link, which Achebe said was a tiny rope that tied us together with our ancestors, with our past, with our values, with the totality of our existence. And it's a tiny thing that you do not see. Very important, because you resonate with life, spirituality of life, the forces of life as they manifest here on earth in their own 4 ways, and the spirits that guide them. So, and it's a way of us developing patience, because by the time you pour libation, you have to listen. If you do not have the patience to listen, then it is not worthwhile pouring libation. So you have to listen. And when you listen, you hear messages. And then along the line, you develop the candor, the equanimity, the ndidi, patience, to wait on the ancestors, to wait on the Almighty Chineke. And so your life becomes well-fashioned, and that's when you become Onyeshomume. So it has a lot to do. It helps us to rejuvenate. It's a help us to rejuvenate and make sure we're in touch with our past, our spirituality, our roots, our foundation. That's the little I can say for now.
Perfect.
That's right. Beautiful. Thank you. Now we're going to, I want to share this. There is, I don't know if it has anything to do with me getting older, but there are just some things now that I don't turn away from. There are things that I see and I ask, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? Something has got to give. I received a video from Akachi. Akachi, I thank you, Ochoza. Akachi's title now is Ochoza. She is on that path, spirit path. And when you're on the spiritual path, African spiritual path, and you do so in sincerity with the ultimate goal of becoming an Nchwaja, you are an Ochoaja. Ochozo, I'm sorry, Ochozo. So she gave me this tape. And initially when she sent it to me, I'm always doing all kinds of things. And so I was in the middle of doing God knows what I was doing. And so I said, well, I'll watch it later. And I did. And that was disturbing. That was disturbing. It has to do with our African elders relinquishing the rights to train our children in the ways of the ancestors, in their cultural ways, and instead allow our children to be used as tools for the new colonialism, the new colonialists, which are the Chinese. They are good Chinese people. I'm not here to bash the Chinese. I am bashing the process of the recolonization of the African mind, but they're doing it this time. They're doing it with the elders by giving them money, building this and building that. But it's getting so bad now that they're using our children. This time we do so willingly. We're using our children as willingly just to get money from the Chinese. We do so by handing our children to them in their own homeland. We're not sending them anywhere. We are having them come to our African homeland to teach our children their foreign ways at the expense of their own. Our children will never be healed, and neither will our people in every part of Africa if this continues, if it gets legs, and I see that it is. Because even some of the children are praying what the Chinese are teaching them to what their own people are teaching them. So let me play this video. It's a little going to play all this here, and then I encourage all of you to go on later on and watch the thing. This is extremely disturbing. So here. It's loading, give it a moment. Okay, still loading. I'm trying to get it to.
Technology sometimes can drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when you're trying to load files, or you have to sit and wait for it to buffer. You know,
yes.
Yeah, it can be something else.
See, I've been through my own battle, coming in and going out.
Yeah, but I don't know how long it's going to take to.
Are you not seeing it?
No, we're not seeing it yet. Nothing is going on. You know, but just
Can you
so
see
we
it
don't
now?
No,
Not yet.
you know. See, one of the things that we really need to understand as people of African ancestry is this disconnect with our ancestors. You know, our ancestors make us what we are. Whatever we see, as far as being an African, somebody of Africa.
Wait a minute. Are you not seeing?
Yeah.
I have been.
You're frozen. Okay, now you're not frozen anymore. You were
Can
frozen.
you guys see it?
No.
That's actually why I'm talking until it loads up. And once it loads up, then we'll terminate any conversation. Let it play. We'll let you know. You know, but what do you call it? This idea that we can exist in a vacuum without any connection to our past. It's so ludicrous. It's so. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's coming. The screen is dark. We're not seeing any images.
We can just talk about it.
Yeah, let's just keep talking until
Can you
you
guys
load it up.
see
Then
me?
we'll watch it.
Yes,
Yeah, we can see you, but we can't see the video. And we have a long lapse in silence.
You can't see the video.
No, we can't see the video. We can see you. We can't see the video. We're all on the
now
screen.
I'm going to you keep talking. You keep talking, and I'll load it. Keep talking. Keep talking.
This idea that not only is our ancestors evil, blah 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 blah, but the idea that the mere mention of your ancestors is something that is evil. You know, maybe it's just because of this, you know, brainwashing, and us as people of African ancestry not seeing any value in ourselves, and making it easy for anybody to come in now and colonize our minds, colonize the way we do things, colonize business, make us feel that what's really important is money. Okay, I think now we can see it. Oh yeah, I think I've seen this stuff. Yeah. Terrible.
Hello. It's time. Thanks. It's frozen. Yeah, it's very choppy. She can terminate that video, but I think I have it just, you know, it's another from the frying pan to the fire, right? There are a lot of Africans that have had it with Islam and Christianism, particularly with Christianism, that they decided that they are Jews now. They embrace Judaism, frying pan to fire. It's still an Abrahamic religion, and it's a foreign religion. But maybe what Christianity and Islam is preaching is not what they are practicing. So you become disillusioned with the corruption in the church. So you decide to embrace something else. But then when you embrace something else, you embrace something else that is also foreign. You never seem to be dissatisfied with foreign religion, then embrace your own and give it the same kind of respect and exposure as you give the foreign religions. See, that's the part where this self-hatred, this hatred for your ancestors, for your culture, for everything that has to do with you on the spiritual level, you consider that evil. The European came and civilized you and taught you about God, showed you right from wrong, like your ancestors knew nothing, before they came. Okay, here we go.
My name is Enoch Bello. My Chinese name is Alu. I'm one of the first children who came to this orphanage. It's called ACC.
ACC.
It's doing what it's doing. I'm going to remove the. I'm going to stop sharing because for what the video is having difficulty. We're having difficulty with it. But the bottom line, I think Yudi started talking about it, and I'm going to recommend that Akachi, if you're listening, please share the link to this video with everyone. It's having difficulty, and sometimes StreamYard does this. When you want to play a video, StreamYard just doesn't seem to have the capacity to play it. So Akachi, if you don't mind, please share the link. The bottom line, however, is that these children are being taught not just academically from a Chinese perspective, they're socially and culturally, everything. They're even punished when they show their Africanness. They have to do everything according to the rigid processes of Chinese life. Okay, so and this is not in China that this is happening. This is happening in Africa. And they actually show going to the parents, the homes of these children, and pulling these children from the villages and taking them to the whatever it is, wherever it is that they're teaching them all of this. All right, but all the teachers are Chinese. I have nothing against Chinese people. We're all good people. We're all part of humanity. But the bottom line is, to each his own. Let us be us. None of us are going to China to teach Chinese children how to be black. They will not tolerate it, number one. That's one thing. Let alone, you know what I'm saying? But we are comfortable giving our children, they go to the villages and they pick up these kids, many, and put them in a car. The children are crying. Some of them say they don't want to be there. They're uncomfortable being there. They're not happy being there. They want to go back to their home. They're frightened. And then they're corrected harshly for having the audacity to be frightened. And this time, we are part of it. The rest of Africa is seeing that going on. Here's the problem. We know it's going on. What is it that these people have over us can't say no? We're not saying we want to be anti global. I mean, it's a global world. But this whole idea that African children must speak Chinese, not their language. They must learn their books. If you watch it, you will see where the children are reading. Okay, so maybe it's a good thing to have a different cultural perspective. Maybe it's a different thing to be able to read Chinese. But good God Almighty, those kids, this is where you start. You start when they are young to teach them about who they are. When are they going to start learning about being a Malaysian kids, or Malayan care, however you phrase that? When are they going to learn that? When they become adults? When they are completely indoctrinated? What we don't see is because somebody comes to us smiling with money. It doesn't mean they have our best interest at heart. They did it before, remember? With trinkets and gold and all of that.
Something shiny.
Something shiny, and that's how Americans got here. That's how African Americans got to the United States. Because they brought their shiny stuff. And I see it happening again. What don't we understand about the fact that Africa is loaded with minerals? What don't we understand? That people want it. And they're going to use your children. When they've conditioned them and indoctrinated them to see them as the good people, when you, an African parent, an African elder, want to tell these children anything, what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to want to listen to you. They're not going to want to practice their way of life. And gradually, recolonization has begun. We began with them coming and building our roads, building our bridges, building on this bridge, building this and the other. Now, something shiny. Now, the most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor, we say it all the time. Stephen Biko said it to the children in South Africa, is your mind. Yes.
We Africans are allowing our children. Look at what it has done to Black children here in the United States. Daily indoctrination. Daily indoctrination of European history. Even to the extent that now in Florida, you can't teach Black history. They have made it a rule that you can only learn European history. Now in Africa, guess what? Our children must speak Chinese. They must learn Chinese.
I'm so done.
They must write Chinese. It is disturbing. You must watch it. When I go through watching that, it took so much out of me not to break plates. Because this time, they don't have whips and chains. This time, they have like a Dibias said, shiny stuff. And our children are being forced. Go watch that movie. Go and watch it. If that doesn't make you as an African person say, what the heck is going on with us? What? How many people are training their children to be Black? White people are not doing that. Indians are not doing that. Chinese are not doing that. Nobody's doing that but us. Allowing our children to be used. The children. Did you hear the beginning where he says that my name, first of all, he said his name was an English name, the young man. Well, they've taken the English name. Now they've supplanted it with the Chinese name.
Now I'm Chinese.
Huh?
I said, no, I'm Chinese. I used to be English. Now I'm Chinese, even though I'm Black in Africa.
Yeah. No, so they've removed his name. He used to be Toby. He's not Toby no more.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've given him a Chinese name, and the meaning of the Chinese name is the person who makes trouble. Chineke kweli honjo. Chineke kweli honjo. May God not accept evil.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The name is a person who makes trouble. Is this how Africans name their children? No, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. My Chinese name, he said, is a person who makes trouble. What is that saying to that boy?
He's a troublemaker. That's what he is.
A troublemaker. And the only way we can control you is to make you Chinese.
Yep.
My people, I'm going to let you guys comment on this movie, but I'll tell you one thing. If we continue
going in this direction and allowing this to fester, I'm sorry, my brothers and sisters, we are done.
Oh,
because the world is falling apart and they see Africa as a place to go. They are, how many billions of people in China? They need the space. As a matter of fact, do you know that they don't send their finest to Africa?
The lowest of the low.
They take some of the poor people in China and bring them to Africa, and they become rich off of us, off of our resources, off our children. Now they're stealing the brains of our children, and we are allowing it. My Chinese name. Let me say that Akachi just said something very instructive. A Nigerian woman said, if African people are willing to give up the continent, then we don't deserve it. Let them come and take it.
They're already there.
Everything
them,
we don't deserve it. We don't deserve the gold. We don't deserve the cobalt. We don't deserve the diamonds. We don't deserve the oil. We don't deserve all those wealth and riches given to us by Chineke. So, if you don't want to keep it, those who don't have it, those who were not blessed with all those natural resources, they're coming to get it. And once they're in there, there's nothing we can do. The mind is the most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor, because the mind will latch onto something. And once it's latched onto that something, it's very hard to remove it. And by the time you're able to remove it, it's too late. Yudi.
I mean, of course, the video speaks for itself. And like you said, it's one of those things that when you get through watching it, you really just want to put a noose around your own neck and just hang yourself. You know, you kind of look at your condition in the world today and say, what's the point? We've given it up already. I look at our panel right now, all four of us. And then I look at our patrons on the comment side. And I have an understanding that it's going to take mindsets like the four people on the screen right now on this show, all these Dibias here, and the Akachis and the Punas and Emeka and all that, Mr. Sharp that I see over here, Vicky Nellos, Jenkins and all that. It's going to take people with this kind of mindset to even begin to evaluate the harm that this kind of stuff is causing. But how many of us are there? Most of us are aligned with the same doctrines that justified our enslavement in the first place. Let's not even talk, here's the thing. You cannot talk about a problem without mentioning the root cause of it. It's the way you said it. You didn't say it this way. You were too direct. My question has always been this. When they were enslaving you, did they ask for your permission? Did anybody walk up to you and say, hey, man, would you like to be a slave? It's a choice. I could hook you up. And then you said, yeah, make me a slave. And they made you a slave, and you lived happily ever after. And part of the result of you agreeing to be enslaved is the Chinese people taking a dump down your neck right now. Nobody colonized you with your permission. Nobody put you in this situation with your permission. It wasn't a voluntary exercise on our part as Africans. They came and took it by force, through rape, through lynching, through castration. They did every manner of evil, not only to subdue you physically, but to subdue you mentally. What is your name? My name is Kunta Kinte. Whip, 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 whip. Your name is Toby. After a series of being whipped, you are now Toby. Now let me take this example of Kunta Kinte to Toby, take it back to Africa, take it back to the continent. These young people are only going by the examples that were set for them by the adults. There's nobody in Africa talking about African culture, religion, extolling your ancestors, building institutions, having government that is accountable to the people.
establishing cultural spaces that these children can be indoctrinated, teaching them about their ancestors, their contributions to civilized behavior, teaching them about their African roots, their religion, in science, in politics, in government, in leadership, in everything that has to do with all human endeavors. We don't promote that in any educational system in Africa. So what do we expect? We opened up a space where foreign influence, foreign doctrines, textbooks, religion, science, everything that is foreign trumps everything that is African. And when you have a generation that was raised in that mindset, and you even have people of my age, your age, all the Dibias that are raised in the same mindset as the children are being raised right now. Because if people of my generation embrace African culture, African space, African science, African religion, African politics, if we extol everything African, our children right now will not be exposed to Buddhism in Africa. Nobody's going to be changing the name from Okoro to Chinese name. It's not the kids, it's the parents, people of our age. I don't know what they call people in their 60s and 50s or 40s or whatever, some kind of children of what, I don't know. I don't know all these terms, you know, the hippie children or whatever. But whatever it is, we never, in my generation, prepared. Our parents prepared us. Our parents were the ones that fought the British, fought the French for our independence. Our parents were the Nnamdi Azikiwes. Our parents were the Kwame Nkrumahs. Those were our parents. Our parents were the Jomo Kenyattas, the Nelson Mandelas. I'm from the same generation as people like Thomas Sankara. That's my generation over there. But our generation did not leave anything for these children today. Our parents left everything. They helped us, they fought for independence. They did all that stuff. A lot of them were Christianized. A lot of them had to give up their African tradition just so they could get acceptance from the British, so that the British may negotiate with them, not in good faith, but as inferiors who validate themselves by standards that are not of their own. They could at least communicate with you in English from their own point of view, so that you could get the little scraps they put for you, so that you could gain your supposed independence and then think you're free when everything else about you has been colonized. You are independent, yes, but you're also a tool. As Stephen Biko, mentioned, and OKDB always says that the greatest tool in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And we, as people of African ancestry, we're susceptible to something shiny. And it is reinforced because the current core of leadership, parents, teachers, what have you, do not teach these children, have not prepared an environment where the next generation can flourish. They have not created an environment where the children are considered the future of Africa. It doesn't exist. I'm telling you, there is nowhere. Maybe it doesn't exist. And you go to Rwanda, maybe you could find that mindset there. But there's no way, from what I've read, there is nowhere in Africa where the government, where scholars are doing business with the next generation in consideration. Nowhere. For those people that are able to get out of Africa, brain drain becomes the norm. We are all abroad. I'm abroad in the United States, can't get a drink of water back home in Nigeria. And we help to develop other countries. Our mind, our scientific mind, philosophical mind, whatever it is not happening in Africa, because when you try to do something in Africa, you are attacked, marginalized, and if you're lucky, escape with your life, making it difficult for those people that will go back over there and try to change things in all areas of human endeavor. Most of the great Nigerian doctors live abroad. They don't live in Nigeria. You don't have any core leadership or institutions that says that the African comes first. before anybody else, just like they do in Europe. You know, the British comes first before anybody else. The French come first before anybody else. These people got all institutions that extol their culture, tradition, history, and their contributions to civilized behavior. There is no way in Africa that you can find any edifice, any institution that extols anything African that you could share with the world as food for thought and have the world come to Africa to learn something about you. We're just borrowers, takers, Stockholm syndrome. The same people that are taking away our freedoms are the same people that we're extolling. That video is so sickening. My wife always accuses me of being angry all the time. And she's right. I got to figure out how to calm myself down. Because what I see around me, the ignorance that I see around me with people of my, what do you call it, with African folks, whether you're Jamaican, African American, Nigerian, South African, Kenyan, it doesn't matter. We are suffering from the same disease. Our minds have been colonized no matter where we are in the world. It is a shame. And the only way to fix it is to continue exercises like this. Medium, pushing, having young people like Akachi, Emeka, you know, Ukuna, pushing, because we're doing this for them. They're the ones we're doing it for. Whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. My life, okay, Dibia's life, and I know your lives are dedicated to making sure that the next generation is aware of what happened to Africa, so that maybe we could build institutions dedicated to people of African ancestry the world over, even if it's just one university that teaches in African language, textbooks in African language, in math, sciences, geography, history, literature. Just one institution that caters to people of African ancestry, just like Brandeis University in Washington. Major world cultures that are just striving in this world have institutions dedicated to them. Let me have just one institution in Africa dedicated to Black people the world over, so that the Jamaican, the African American, the British Black African, the Canadian African, the South American African, so that people of African ancestry all over the world can come to Africa and attend this institution and learn about our contributions to civilized behavior. Because if we don't establish institutions that promote African culture, history, and science, we are done. We are really done. After Buddhism is Confucianism, then Hinduism. We're totally done, because we hate ourselves and we extol things that are not African and spit on our own heritage.
Yes, that's right. That is well said. Well said. Couldn't have been said better. Couldn't have been said better. Dibia Chiedozie, your thoughts, and then I'll go to Dr. Monet.
Well, I don't have much to say, because you have said it all. I just have a warning to sound to us. If you go to the Amok, the Rosicrucians, this is the aquarium age. And in the aquarium age, predators will eat up prey. Yeah, it is the age in which everything will rearrange itself. Those nations you find in Africa trying to dominate Africa, they know it. Unfortunately, Africans don't know it.
Yeah.
This particular issue we are discussing right now, on Friday, I was with my Dibia friend, Ibane Odinkalo, and we just discussed exactly what we're discussing now in different dimensions. And the thing there is that if you are aware of your situation, then you have the problem half solved. But we are not even aware of the situation. And we don't even have places we can tell our people the situation. Our people are distracted looking for physical edifices. We are not thinking of the human being as being ontological or being spiritual. We are looking at development and life as acquisition of crass materialism. So if you look at all of us, we go to China, we are importing, we are asking the Chinese to manufacture the worst of the inferior goods for our markets. That's what, and then we make money off ourselves. So the Chinese already know that we are low minds. And like I said the other time, they are the most aggressive of the Asians. The Indians have been here quietly doing what the Chinese are doing by force. The Indians are ahead, actually. On same Friday in the morning, this office, some Hare Krishna people came here. Of all of them, only one of them is Indian. Others are African. 2 Nigerians, one Edo, one Yoruba. The other one is from Cote d'Ivoire. They are all into Ramakrishna. If you go to the Brahma Krishna too, there's Rama Krishna, there's Brahma Krishna, you'll find them. So the first thing they loyal with is pilgrimage in India. So the Indians have been here for over decades, colonizing our minds, doing it subtly. And now they are up again with Z-World and dance, trying to combine African, Indian dance. They are all over Africa. South Africa is the head engine where they control the Z-World from. So they're there. So they are aware that the only thing that will make any group of people survive the Aquarium age is group consciousness. They know that. We are not aware of it. So, for me, the days I got angry, pissed up, those days are gone. What is on ground does not require emotion. What is on ground does not require anger. What it requires is ndidi, so that we can think and think very well, form a nucleus, keep expanding the nucleus, and making sure that we have a nucleus that will develop other nucleuses, so that we must let out information to every African that is into this consciousness. We are in the age where everything will be rearranged. Everything will be destroyed. People don't understand what is happening in Ukraine. What is happening in Ukraine is part of the world rearrangement. What is happening in Nigeria is part of the world rearrangement. Whether we like it or not, Africa will be rearranged. The crisis that is going on, Africa will be rearranged. The rearrangement is that we will go to crisis. All this happening, the Chinese are coming, the Indians are coming. Last week, Sunday, I said that we can't escape Asian colonization. We cannot. It's already here.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Indians will do it subtly. The Japanese, like the Germans, will wake up at the tail end and join. The Chinese are doing it like the British did it. Brass, brute. The Indians are doing it in a very subtle way. The Japanese will jump very soon. The Koreans, they have been here through Taekwondo, martial arts. Martial arts is the beginning of all of this. And so, because we are not aware of the situation, we have to make ourselves aware of the situation. It is not the time to be angry. It is not the time to get forceful. It is the time to sit back, reflect, gather equanimity. We have to fight back, but not like the ram does, because they say the ram that goes backwards, staggers backwards, has gone to collect strength so that it can show its aggression. Yes, we are going to do that, but in a very calm way. And we have just said something here. What we said is the mind. And the last point I want to make is that I don't know how many of us are still Africans, because the African is the mind, the African is not the color.
Yes.
And so our emphasis should be how to form nucleuses and talk about how these nucleuses will survive and keep expanding. Because what is coming will take those who are hunting like leopards, who are hunting alone, those who don't have group consciousness. It will take them, it will swallow them, no matter how rich they are, how materially rich, material richness they have acquired. What is coming is going to take them. So we are still going to go through very excruciating, harrowing experience. In fact, we have not begun. What is coming is baffling. We have to know it, tell ourselves the truth, and talk about ways of surviving it. That's my little take.
Great take.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you. Dr. Monet, your thoughts. Thank you, Dibia.
My thoughts is, we see this video now of the African, being converted to the Buddhism and being converted into Chinese culture for indoctrination, to control the minds of the Africans so that, they can, just like throughout history, so you can take the wealth of Africa, so that you could take the resources, you could take what China K has given to us. But we have to understand that this indoctrination did not start with just them seeing them on that video going to the temple. It started when the Chinese started putting beauty supplies in our neighborhoods. When the Chinese started to exploit the things that we have gone through and our trauma from the oppression that we had gone through. And knowing that, just like Uncle Dibia Yudi was saying, the Stockholm Syndrome, wanting to be just like our oppressor. And all of those beauty supply stores having all of these hairs, the hair that is not like our hair, that can look similar to our oppressor, putting that in our neighborhoods and studying the African, because you have to know that the Chinese studies the African.
Yeah.
And knowing that they can exploit the pain that our people have gone through, the results of the trauma that our ancestors have gone through. And part of that, as far as our identity, our women, if you can tap into the woman, if you can take control of the woman, the African woman, you can take control of a whole nation, because a nation comes through the woman. And so if you're putting in the neighborhoods these beauty supply stores, which it has been, a long time, I mean, all over the world, both in Africa and the diaspora, putting, just that subtle conditioning. So when they put in that Buddha temple, because you're used to seeing them at that store that is defining your beauty as an African woman and defining the beauty of your daughters, defining what your sons consider beautiful, and who we identify with as African people. You find that when that happens, when they put that Buddha temple in Africa and they say, well, bring your children here, become Buddhist, forget about your spiritual, powerful, beautiful spiritual traditions, and take on ours. And for us not to, we can't even see we can't even see this cycle that has been going on, that has happened over and over again in Africa. You know, so when they put that temple there, it didn't just start at that moment. It started the moment when they put their shop, their Chinese beauty supply, right there in Africa, when they put that in America, when they put that in communities of color. Because one thing that I noticed, I don't see those beauty supplies in white communities. I don't see those beauty supplies in Indian communities. I don't see those beauty supplies anywhere else. You know, so it started very subtly then. So we've already gained acceptance of the Chinese. We already, you know, when we're buying those products, you know, we've already gained subconsciously that, you know, these are good people. These are people that allows me to be closer to my oppressor, to be more accepted in a society that has really taken us down. So we kind of subconsciously look at them as a savior. So when they set up shop, you know, when they set up shop and say, well, you know what, now it's time to go in to take the mines. They've already been conditioning us all of this time. And that is why it's so easy for them to come in and say, you know, well, let's go to our religion. Forget about everything. Let's forget about all of your culture. Your culture has no value, even though we're in Africa. Just like the Dibias was saying, there's no way that an African could come to China and indoctrinate their children. There is no way they would like that happen in any kind of way. So we have to wake up as African people. We have to start loving ourselves. We have to start recognizing what has happened to our people and what is going on. And our value. They're coming and doing this because Chineke has given us the most valuable things on earth. Africa has the most value. So why is it? We have to ask those questions. Why is it that you want our children to join, to learn your spirituality and take on your names, to become Chinese? Why is it it's not just because, oh, we want to be nice. No, there is a reason for that. And we've seen it throughout the history and the results of that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm reminded, I watched a video where they were asking a group of Chinese people what they thought about African people. And they looked at each other and they laughed. And the gentleman that was asking the question asked it again. Well, what do you think about African people? And the Chinese people said, why should we answer that question? You know the answer. He says, well, I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking you the question. He says, well, the answer is that there are no African people. Well, he thought that was rather odd. He said that you African people are a combination of everything that comes onto the continent of Africa. You soak up everything and you become whichever one is more manipulative than the other, so that they don't know who the African people are. Chai. These are Chinese youth saying that about African people. Are they lying? They're not lying. That's the truth. We assimilate, we absorb, and we act according to whatever it is that comes to our shores. We do not act as if we are. Now think about it. Think about what those young people said. There is no African people. There is no, because they know who they are. They know who they are. So when you ask them who are, first of all, they're saying that's not our business. That's your business. You should know who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you don't know who you are, you better start thinking who you are. We can't answer that question for you. We can answer that question for you. But one thing everybody knows about us is that we have been conditioned to look down on ourselves.
Yes.
I was at Walmart and I'm listening to these African young people as they were having their conversation. They were saying, I mean, every single, even though there are all these adults standing there, they didn't have the decency or sense of pride or sense of their Africanness to understand when you're around elders, you conduct yourself in a certain way. They use profanity. I mean, the grossest profanity around. One was talking about buying in front of us. This has happened in the past, but it happened again. This time I was like, it was just horrible. Talking about using condoms, buying condoms, which is a better one, which will fit better. We've got grown adult mothers, elders around these young people, the girls, the boys, they were laughing. It's nothing. They don't know who they are. That's people who don't know who they are. What does it take? Somebody emailed me, Dr. Simmery, what do we do, people who are thinking in terms of the African way of life? What do we do? What role can we play? I'm sure you all agree that Marasulo Apwezi. I mean, beauty starts from inside,
yes,
from within, to go outside. It is the responsibility. You have to start with these kinds of things we're doing, and within our homes, we need to take charge. Have you ever watched the gorilla, the orangutan? Have you ever watched them with their children? If you don't, go watch them. Go and watch the gorilla, the orangutan. When it comes to their children, they don't play. Once they have their children in their arms, they would intercept what you give them. They don't allow you to just feed their babies. If you want their child to get something, you've got to give it to the mother gorilla or the father gorilla. Are there instances where that may not apply? Yeah, but for the most part, they have that consciousness. I'm in charge of this child, not you. But they are monkeys that wouldn't even look at their babies. You can give them anything, and they just stand and look at you as long as they're eating. I think they're called, what are they called? The maca.
Maca. Oh, jeez. I know what you're talking about. I think in South America, those monkeys in South America.
Yes. Yeah. They will kick their kids for that little piece of fruit that you give them. They will stymie and murder their child, and you can give their children everything. They don't care. You can give their baby monkeys anything as long as you're giving to. Matter of fact, they will eat it and not share with the child. That's us. When I watched that, I said, my God, that's us, isn't it?
Yes.
I hate to say that, but I said, oh my God, this is us. We don't mind what you give to our children. As a matter of fact, we see you as a babysitter. Because I got to go to the market. I got to go do this. I got to do. So yes, please let them be under your roof and you teach them whatever. When they come home, hey, bring homework that has to do with who you are. We'll teach them that at home too. So we at some point, now I understand what Dozier said, but I'm going to tell you, pardon me, and sometimes you have to raise your voice and say enough is enough.
Yes.
Huh? If you allow people to continue to beat you with a stick, sooner or later that stick will kill you.
Yep. True that.
At some point, you have to say enough.
You got to stand up.
You got to stand up. My father, Ahan Keoke, he says, if somebody is beating you with a stick and you tell them to stop and they don't, at some point, pick up your own stick and fight back. Otherwise, their stick will kill you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fighting back doesn't mean taking guns and going to war. Fighting back is using this mind and saying, oh, dig it, Ozula, Bukwareme, Ozula, Unoka. Just like the gorilla does, just like the orangutan does. Thank you for your little gift, but this is mine. That video shows Africans giving away. They don't even have to take, they just give it away. They give away their children. We give away our own things.
Yes.
We don't ask questions. There is an African proverb. That's what, it's not a proverb. It's a song that they sing during war in my village, my people. You they say to you, if you hurt an Abriba man, you better run. If you hurt an Umporo man, you better run. If you hurt an Ohafia man, you better run. If you go to eat him, the passive and nice and kind people bring their head home, honey, because they ain't gonna fight you.
Yeah.
That's what we are. They're taking our heads because we don't know how to fight.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fighting can just be, I don't want your stuff. Thank you. If I have to stop, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is my mother feeds me, I'll eat it to sustain me. I don't need your fancy food. I don't need your poison food. I'll eat what my family gives me. We need to have that mindset. What we have is good enough. Chineke has blessed us. Our ancestors have blessed us. What we're doing is what we call Meri Ndiberibe. You dikpaino kano. Ndiberibe.
Yeah. This is the truth.
Foolishness. That's what we're involved in. We're acting like stupid people. Like we were not raised by a mother. Like we were not raised by a father.
They don't want to be direct.
Yeah. Sometimes fighting doesn't mean put your dukes up. Fighting means I don't need your stuff. And I'm trying to be very modest when I say that.
Yes.
I don't need your stuff. I got enough. And we have enough. Start, if the Chinese are doing what they're doing with their temples, let us do that in the Obasioha. Let us teach our children how to fight African way.
Thank you.
I want to share this with you. There is a company that's doing just that. Doing just that. This company is called, and I just want to share that, and I ask all of you to go and visit them. Pay attention to when African people are taking charge. Go and see what they're doing. And let me just read what it is. I hope I'm saying it properly. WOS International Films, WIF, is an official streaming platform displaying films, documentaries, music, videos, and monthly magazines, both hard copy and download versions for purchase. You go to their website. This is when our young people decide we're going to do something.
Yes.
The content will focus on elements of indigenous African warrior cultures and related disciplines like philosophy, indigenous science and spiritual systems, of which we're one. I'll say Africa was largely colonized by suppression. It's time for us to get up.
Yes.
And I am so proud of them.
Very.
So saying enough is enough.
Yes.
They come for you the first time. You didn't know. They come the second time. Nobody told you. They come the third time, and you saw them coming, and you sit there and you present them with a glass of water. Now, this time, you're responsible for what happened. When somebody wants to kill you, you don't give them a glass of water to drink. Either you dodge or you know what to do. You fight back. We're not advocating any level of violence, but we are talking about the spiritual. There's a spiritual war going on, my people. Spiritual war. And the only reason why the physical, the indoctrination is possible is because we haven't, you know what I'm saying? We haven't learned how to fight spiritually.
Well, that's not easy. It's going to be a difficult thing. Yeah.
We are too subservient.
Passive. Subservient and passive.
We're passive. Passivity will get you messed up. So start talking. Talk to your children. Have a motivational. My son was young, my children were young. I had a motivational statement that they had to recite. I believe in myself and my ability to succeed. I will always strive to achieve, to function with high academic achievement in my community, with my friends and my colleagues and my family as a whole. I will not be intimidated by anybody's power. I am powerful as I make myself powerful. Yes. My children to this day, they will tell you you can't fool them. You can't talk that stuff to them because they know who they are. And I can safely say it had a lot to do with their grandparents. It had a lot to do with me, had a lot to do with their dad, had a lot to do with their uncle, and certainly what we're doing here. Take charge of your community. Take charge of your family. Make sure, if you want to know what is it we can do, you take charge. Teach your children. If the schools won't do it, when they come home, let them do their little homework, and then you have their homework for them. And that homework is, this is who you are, and I want you to learn it so generations to come will know it. Ashe.
Ashe. Ise.
Yuji, parting thought. You got a minute.
Sorry. No, it's just really simple. I just want people to understand that during colonization and slavery, the European, the Arab too, they came and destroyed. They took everything that we had, particularly during colonization, destroyed it and supplanted it with theirs. So most of the system in the last 100 years, just about, in Africa, are systems that were built by our colonizers. So any institutions that we may have had, any semblance of culture that may have influenced our way of life in Africa was destroyed, removed, and supplanted with Portuguese, English, French, and whoever else, and the Belgians that colonized us. So they built these institutions, destroyed everything that we had. And today in Africa, this is one of the main reasons why you don't see any edifices or anything that extols African culture. In my village in Mboro there, we used to have a series of pyramids called Nsule pyramids. None of them, not even one exists. And most of the people in that area that are indigenous to that area do not even know that such edifices existed over there. So it is our responsibility to talk the talk and walk the walk. We have to raise resources to build these institutions. They will not build themselves. We need to be able to cooperate or have other so-called people that are aware of what happened to Africa. We all need to come together, raise the resources, build an Abasiaha, and try to build institutions that will educate our kids. Because at the
at this moment right now, we have none. Primary school, high school, all universities that cater to people of African ancestry. That's what we really need to do to be able to deal with what's going on with us today.
And that's why we are grateful that we are establishing the Chiism University, which we're almost ready to launch. UD has done a fine job with all putting everything together. So thank you for the hard work you're doing towards that. And Chiadozie and myself, Dr. Monet, we're going to be part of the teaching staff. And we can't wait to share what we have with everybody. Dr. Monet, your parting thoughts, please.
My parting thoughts is that we as African people, we have to, again, start to love ourselves 100%. We have to try to get back to the ways of our ancestors, our own spirituality that is just as valuable as everyone else's. They have their own. And not saying that there's no power in their spirituality or we can't learn other spirituality, but we must put priority on who we are and our spirituality and who, so that we can have our own, that we can teach our children what it is of our ways so that our ways won't die. I'm African American. Yes. They have stripped and taken away all that my ancestors before arriving here has come with. The God of my ancestors, which I'm reconnecting with the God of my ancestors, and a lot of the ways and things in the teachings here on ChiismLive, I am learning and having some ancestors have taught me some of these ways, but we have to reconnect. It is so important. And I say all the time, one of the reasons why we are in the state that we're in as African people is because we have not connected back with our spirituality, which is our power.
That's right. That's right. This has been a wonderful, wonderful show. And Dibias Chiadozie wanted to let you know that the electricity has gone off where he's at. So unfortunately, he can be not able to log back in. But I do want to thank Akachi Azubike. Thank you very much for her participation and all the wonderful notes that she's feeding us and even the resources she's making available. Akachi, you're now, as I indicated, an Ochozo. Ochozo.
Yes.
We'll talk to you.
She's earned it.
Yes.
She earned it.
She's on her journey. She's on her journey. And I want to thank my darling nephew, Akimi Bro. Thank you for all your hard work. You've got our back, and I can see it every single Sunday. Bless your heart. Thank you. Yonmi, this is the first time of me seeing this gentleman or gentlewoman. I'm not sure which one, but thank you for joining us today. Also, let us thank Ukuna Ugochukwu. Thank you as always for being with us. You are such a part of this family. Mr. Sharp, this is the first time I've seen Mr. Sharp. Thank you, Mr. Sharp. We hope that you come back next time and join us. And Ikenga. I love that name. Ikenga Thoughts. Is that beautiful? Jolly good show. We thank you so very much. We thank let's see, who else do we have? Quite a number
Nadia
of
was on
people. There. Nadia on your heart. Thank you so much for joining us. And also Vicky, thank you for joining us, and so on and so forth. All of you are precious. One Piece Speed, thank you. These are people that I'm getting used to seeing every single time. It is wonderful. We're a family. We are a Chiis family.
Yes.
Yeah, we're funny. Okay, I know. Thank you. You guys are part of our family. I'm quite frankly, I'm looking forward to every time we have this show to see all of you. Please continue to give your support, because we can't do it ourselves. We need your help. Invite other people to join us. Some individuals said, this is Mr. Sharp, said something that was interesting, and I did post it earlier. Well, I haven't met someone of African descent in person who thinks the way we all do on the panel and in this chat. is terrible. Yes, my brother, it's true.
Yes.
People have not woken up. Many are waking up, such as you guys. And as long as we consistently do what we're doing, then I'm sure that our lives will be better. Please remember, that's Vicky. I did call Vicky. Remember that there are 4 days that you need to do your ancestral spiritual healing. And if you want to know all those days, please get in touch with me. Those documents are being put together for your use. Again, thank you so very much. It's just been a pleasure having all of you. Remember, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't let anybody fool you. Right where you are, God is. Right where you are.
Yes.
The ancestors.
Yeah.
Yagazi.
Yagazi.
Yes.